Welcome to Communication Error Podcast, a gaming debate podcast where we may not always agree with what we have to say, but if we listen to what one another has to say, maybe we'll be able to fix our communication error. I don't know what just happened. I was honestly thinking about how it is episode 13 and how we are bound to have a communication error, and my brain just malfunctioned there.
Plus, like episode 13, bad luck.
Right.
You know, things are probably going to happen.
Yeah, it's very possible, but I am cheesy. And the man that has not only beat one game this year, but has beaten two is John Ebo.
In a month.
Wow.
In the same month, I beat 2 games.
How does it feel? How does it feel?
It feels good. I'm a little disappointed.
You're disappointed?
I know. Pikmin was fun. It was great. But it was short. It was very short. And waiting 10 years for a new entry, and you get a 15-hour experience.
Did you beat 3?
No.
3 is even shorter.
I think the first one's like 5 hours or 6 hours.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it right. You have 10 years to make a game and you make it 15 hours long?
It's enjoyable.
It is enjoyable, but like maybe we'll get into it in this episode because we're talking about 2D and 3D games.
Yeah, that is the topic for this week. Yeah. Speaking of value, I know that we got to get through this podcast because you've got a bedtime now.
I got a bedtime at 1 a.m. Pokemon Sleep came out last Thursday, yes. I think.
Wednesday, I think.
Wednesday or Thursday. Oh, whenever we recorded the Nintendo Powercast, because that's when I set up.
Wednesday.
I set up my bedtime, and I used it for Wednesday, Thursday, and then I think I stopped using it. But I got the stupid little puck thing in the mail, so I'll use it tonight.
And then never use it again?
Probably never again. It's such a stupid app, and the only purpose is to collect your data, and then they're probably going to sell it. So if you want to play Pokemon Sleep, go ahead, but they're using your data.
For like what? What data?
Everything. Your sleep data. Like, do you want everybody in the world to know your sleep data?
I mean, it's not going to say my name. So
they probably will. They have that.
But they don't.
It's a dumb app. It's stupid. It doesn't help with anybody's sleep.
I don't know. It actually has been helping me. I've never knew that I needed to like gamify my sleep, because usually I go to bed at like 12 or maybe even 2 a.m. And since using the app, it will score me on how well I slept, or how at a reasonable time I went to bed. And so now my bedtime is set at midnight. Like, I am not doing a 2 a.m. anymore because I don't like the bad score that I'm getting. And I know that I could do better, but also,
you know what makes it worse is can't get like a perfect score unless you sleep for 8.5 hours.
Yeah.
What person gets 8.5 hours a night?
I don't know, but that's, I think, what they're trying to do. They're trying to tell us that we need to sleep better. I don't know. I enjoy.
I was always told 6 hours is like ideal.
Yeah, let's see. I think last night I got like 6.5 or 7. I can't remember. But for me, it's being used as an alarm clock right now anyway. So the fact that it's waking me up and then I get excited to see what Pokemon may be around me, it's just a good way to start the day. Although I got
the same Pokemon.
You got the same Pokemon?
Yeah, 2 days in a row. The 2 days I used it, I got the same Pokemon. That's boring.
That is boring, because I'm not really sure like how it works, or if it's just random, or if there's actually some kind of science behind it. I don't know.
But they also charge you $10 a month. There's a plan that you can pay $10 a month to sleep.
You can. It doesn't.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, to sleep. I think the other reason why I am okay with Pokemon Sleep, and I am probably the only person that is has dealt with this. Is I have played Magikarp Jump since the day it came out, on again, off again, just trying to roll credits on that thing, and I'm still playing it. It is made by Select Button, which is the developers of Pokemon Sleep. So a lot of it is actually the same. Like I understand Magikarp Jump just on how dumb it is and how leveling up takes forever and all the little gimmicks that they use to get you to pay for more. You don't have to, which I think is nice, but it does slow the process down. So they do a lot of the same things in Pokemon Sleep. Like Magikarp Jump, you have to feed your Magikarp. This one, you have to feed Snorlax. They have all the same berries. They use diamonds as like a currency. There's a lot of similarities. And even in Magikarp Jump, like the Pokemon can sleep. So I'm kind of wondering if they just use the same assets. I haven't really looked too much into it, but yeah.
Well, this isn't a Pokemon Sleep podcast.
It could be, but we might be.
People probably fell asleep.
Yeah. There it is. Johnny, what are we talking about? What is this episode?
Well, before we get into it, we got to do some server maintenance.
Oh yeah.
We got a new review on Apple Podcasts.
Okay.
Who's it from? It's from Perkins C. And it says, it's a 5-star review, so everybody drop 5 stars. It says, are you here for Nintendo banter? Do you wish you could also participate in Nintendo dialogue without playing Super Mario Bros. 3? Or what if you don't like baby games? Well, then, do I have a show for you?
That's it?
That's it. Thank you, Perkins.
Perfect. That is pretty much our show. Yeah.
I will say Pikmin 4 is a little bit more of a baby game than I was hoping for.
You think so?
It's easy. Super easy.
I think they had to make it that way, is what Miyamoto was saying anyways. Like he wanted
people still aren't going to buy it.
I know, and that makes me so upset. Your comments, because you put up a poll that asked if people were buying Pikmin. Like, do you like fun or do you not like fun? How did you phrase it?
I said something like, yeah, I can't wait, and then no, I don't like fun. And it got 1,000 votes, and 25% said no. Or no, I mean 75% said no, and 25% said yeah, they're gonna get it. But if that scales, that's 25 million copies sold. There's no way. It'll be lucky to sell 1 million based on that poll.
I don't know. It's disappointing for sure. It's a unique game, and yeah, maybe they did kind of make it a little easier this time around, but I think people just need to give it a chance. I think it's charming. It's charming, but also morbid and creepy, and there's something special about it.
Well, check it out. It is fun. I beat it. But I don't think this is going to sell people on it.
Anyway, if you want to leave a 5-star review, we'll read it on the show and tell everybody about it. We have some listeners in Norway.
Yeah, hello. We were like 29th in Norway on games, like the charts.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're from Norway, let us know.
Yeah, thank you. It's pretty cool. Never really thought that we would have listeners from Norway.
We're international superstars.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll tell my mom. But yeah, also join the Discord and leave comments on the show. And next week we will do a community patch notes episode to discuss what you have to say about our topic this week, which is 2D versus 3D gaming.
Yes. Where do you land on this? How do you feel about each one? Do you prefer one over the other?
Well, I think they're two different experiences. I mean, I always say that I prefer 2D Marios over 3D Marios.
Oh, okay.
But, that's probably the nostalgia talking that we had last week. I do believe 2D experiences are usually not as fleshed out as 3D experiences.
Yeah, how so? What do you mean by that?
Take, for example, Metroid Dread. That's a 2D Metroid game. It's like an 8-hour. I think I beat it in like 6 hours.
Okay.
Metroid Prime's longer than that.
Do you think though but like it's easier to speed run probably a 2D game than it is.
I wasn't speed running it. I was just playing normally. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just said, like 2D Marios seem to be shorter than 3D Marios. Like I can pretty much guarantee Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the main story is going to be less than 10 hours.
Sure, but you think that you're going to enjoy it more than Odyssey?
I don't know. I think I enjoyed the original, like Super Mario Bros. 3, which you wouldn't understand.
I understand a little bit. Not all of it.
That's like a 3-hour game. I don't know. It is hard to.
Wait. Hold on. You were just complaining about how they weren't long enough, but you enjoyed Super Mario Bros. 3.
Because of nostalgia. Because of nostalgia.
But you have said that Super Mario Brothers 3 is your favorite Mario game.
Because of nostalgia.
Does that not hold up?
No, it does. It's still a fantastic game.
Okay.
But like if you put it up against Odyssey, it doesn't, like, they're not comparable.
Okay.
Just because like Super Mario Bros. 3 is this small, like, fast experience, and then Odyssey, has fleshed out worlds. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more to do in Odyssey.
Yeah.
So.
But we also see, and this is where I think it gets interesting when talking about 2D versus 3D, because obviously we started with 2D games. So without Super Mario Brothers 3, we wouldn't have something like Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, but do you ever notice how once we shifted to 3D, we pretty much haven't gone back?
I would say indie developers use a lot of 2D.
Yeah, indie developers do.
And those are some good games.
Yeah, but they're not like, there's very few indie games that are put on a pedestal next to some of these massively open, like a Elden Ring or a Witcher 3.
Yeah, but is it supposed to be?
Well, I'm just saying the perception of 2D games, they don't have as much value as 3D games.
Value in what sense?
Like they're not worth it compared to 3D games.
Celeste and Hollow Knight.
I like those games. I like those games, but like I'm playing devil's advocate right now. I remember the whole like discourse around Metroid Dread when that came out.
Yeah, well now
and people are like, it's $60. It's a 2D game for $60.
Mm-hmm. We have that with Prince of Persia now.
Yeah,
that's the same argument.
So people don't perceive 2D games as valuable as 3D games.
And how do you feel about it?
I mean, value is subjective.
I
think Metroid Dread was worth $60. But I mean, it's hard to say when you have a game like Hollow Knight that's like $20 and it has so much content, and then you compare it to Metroid Dread, which doesn't have as much content as Hollow Knight, and you're paying $40 extra.
Content in like the badges you get in Hollow Knight.
I mean, there's just a lot. There's just more content. There's just like more areas to explore. There's a lot more enemies, bosses. Like they added a whole bunch of free DLC. And Metroid Dread just, it was an 8-hour experience. There wasn't really anything after that. There was a harder mode, but that's it.
And a boss rush.
Yeah. But,
yeah.
Like, who cares about that?
I don't know. I mean, when I look back at Dread, I think that it was a great game that added some new mechanics, added new bosses. The worlds were pretty cool. Like the levels. There were cutscenes, so that was fun to see for a 2D game, because they did that with Samus Returns. Wait, what was there cutscenes in Samus Returns?
I don't remember. That game was incorrectly released on 3DS when it should have released on the Switch.
The 3D was nice. Did you ever use the 3D on it?
No.
Did you use the 3D on anything? I feel like I already know that answer.
The 3D gimmick is stupid and terrible.
I thought it worked. You didn't think it worked?
No.
Without glasses, it didn't work for you?
Without glasses?
Without 3D glasses. I get that you're wearing glasses right now.
It's like, what do you mean without glasses?
That's actually,
it was very blurry without glasses. I couldn't see how to play. But no, I think, it was a gimmick. And doesn't the 2DS doesn't even have the feature, right?
Right, yeah.
So, like, they even know that people don't really care about it.
I think it was more, it could have been that, but I think it was also kids using the 3D function, and maybe, and I don't know for sure, but I'm just guessing that it had something to do with kids' eyesight, and maybe the 3D wasn't good for them, so they put out the 2D. And not just kids, like anybody that had a problem with 3D.
I mean, I don't like watching movies in 3D. Like, I don't like 3D movies. I don't like, it's just, I don't know, it feels weird. Or it kind of hurts my head.
Yeah. So,
but that's not the 3D we're talking about.
Right. That's what I was going to say, is like, that's a different type of 3D, but it still kind of works.
I'm just trying to think, like, is there a PlayStation game that's 2D right now? Is there an Xbox game that's 2D? Like, made by PlayStation and made by Xbox? No, they're all going for these like Spider-Man's coming out, Starfield's coming out. All right, so you put Starfield, which has 1,000 planets that you go to, and then you're like, here's Metroid that you go in one linear path.
Yeah, and so I already know which one you would play.
Metroid.
Yeah, exactly, because Starfield is going to be too much.
I don't know. Tears of the Kingdom wasn't too much for me. Like, that was, if they design it like Tears of the Kingdom, I could do it. But
I think it's that they have already mentioned that there's 1,000 planets that you can visit. There's your ship that you can customize. There's title roles that you can give, and everything that you can do in that game. Whereas like Tears of the Kingdom, they don't really tell you anything. They're just like, go explore and see what you find. Except for the Koroks. Like, I think that's probably something that people get overwhelmed by, is because there's so many Koroks, and we know how many Koroks there are.
They're playing it wrong, right? You're not supposed to find 1,000 Koroks. That's not how that game is designed.
Well, that's the joke at the end of it, right? Is like, you basically wasted your time.
Yeah, you're not supposed to, you're not supposed to.
Yeah. It's almost like that Captain America meme at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, and he like flips the chair around and
talking about, so you waited all this time.
Yeah. Just to have your expectations lowered.
I mean, I do love 2D games. I think like Celeste, I beat that, but again, like, that was I don't go back to it.
You don't?
No.
Oh,
I don't go back to. I haven't beat Hollow Knight. I don't go back to Hollow Knight. Shovel Knight is one of my favorite games ever. Mm-hmm. That one is phenomenal. Like, it has a bunch of different like campaigns that you play, and I mean, I do think they're different experiences, and sometimes I don't think. I'm just trying to be devil's advocate here. And if you have a limited amount of money and you see a game like Spider-Man and you see a game like Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
They're the same price, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the same price. But Spider-Man is probably arguably the bigger game. And people will choose that over a 5-6 hour experience, which is $60. They're both $60.
We should come back to this though, because they're releasing on the same day.
Yeah, no, I think Super Mario is going to sell way more than Spider-Man, but not everybody has a PS5.
True.
So all right, so maybe that's not a good comparison because they're two different platforms. But yeah, I mean, they do release on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had $60 and you had a PS5 and a Nintendo Switch, you're probably going Spider-Man.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, man, that is tough because it's a Mario game, and people love Mario, but Spider-Man is huge, and that game was really good. I haven't played it, but I've seen enough of it and know how much people enjoyed it. And then Miles Morales came out. So Spider-Man 2 is a pretty big sequel, I think, that people are anticipating. Spider-Man won Game of the Year, did it not?
No.
What won Game of the Year?
I think it was Sekiro.
That wasn't the same year.
Or God of War. It might have been God of War. Because it was 2018.
Yeah. It was either that or Red Dead 2.
Hold on.
But anyway, what I was saying is that they are different experiences. And I guess I also want to know which one has more replay value. 2D or 3D games, because there's some 3D games that I think people go back to, but if I'm being honest, I think it's probably easier to go back to a 2D game for the reasons that you're saying. Like they're quicker. Some of them. Hollow Knight is not quick. I mean, I guess you can make it quick. But it's easier to I guess go back to your favorite game, nostalgia, right? And replay that versus watching all these cutscenes and
you skip the cutscenes.
Well, you don't have to.
Well, if you've already played it, you could skip the cutscenes.
I guess so. I don't know. Maybe there's something you didn't pick up the first time that you picked up this time around.
I don't beat many games, so I don't typically go back to many games.
Right.
So the game that I could think of that I went back to a lot was Bloodborne. I beat that game like 3 or 4 times, I think.
Mm-hmm. What made you go back to it?
The gameplay. I like the setting. Like it's in, I forget what Britain, or like I don't know how to describe the setting. There is a term for it. Mm-hmm. It's like Victorian England or something.
Okay.
But yeah, the setting's really good. The boss fights are fun. It's just a fantastic game. Bloodborne is the second greatest game of all time. Actually, third greatest game of all time.
What's the order?
Tears of the Kingdom, number 1. Breath of the Wild, number 2. Bloodborne, number 3.
Yeah, how many times have you gone back to Super Mario Bros. 3?
I go back like every year.
Yeah. So
because it is easier to pick up and play. I do agree with that. There's no like mechanics that you have to relearn. You just have to learn how to run. You just have to know how to run and jump.
Yep. There's only a few buttons, right? There's not like combos and X and Y, shoulder buttons, I guess, and so it was easier for players to understand. Not that I'm saying it's hard to understand games today. Like it's pretty. I mean, they always have a tutorial, so they tell you what to do. But I think it's just easier for you to go back to Super Mario Bros. And just pick up the controller and play.
Yeah, because like if you go back to some of the older 3D games, it's rough.
So yeah, you didn't grow up with an N64,
no,
right?
No.
So did the 3D, like when games started turning 3D, did that have any kind of impact on you, or do you remember what your first 3D game was?
Don't remember. I remember that I didn't have an N64, and the only way I got to play N64 was going to my friend's house. So I did experience those games. I got a GameCube. That would probably be my first official like 3D console. And I also I remember I was so enthralled with the graphics.
Mm-hmm.
And now you go back to it and it's just like, oh. like I remember playing Madden on GameCube.
Yeah,
and my dad was like, "Oh, that looks so real," and now it's like, it actually does look real now.
Yeah. Was that 06, 07?
02.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think I actually had. Hold on, I think I have it.
Because the ones that I remember, 06. I think I'm remembering this correctly. 06 was Donovan McNabb, and then 07 was Sean Alexander.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, we'll have to.
But I don't have Madden. I don't have Madden, but I do have All-Star Baseball 2002 with Derek Jeter on the front.
Oh, okay.
2002 Madden had Dante Culpepper on it. I know that for a fact.
Okay.
Hold on. I screwed up my chair thing.
Yeah, so
anyway,
sports, I guess if you want to go into sports, that really took a turn because we had like Tecmo Bowl, right?
Oh, yeah, I love Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah.
I still actually I loved, there was a Retro Bowl game that came out.
Recently?
Yeah, that it looks like Tecmo Bowl. And it looked
okay.
like those old school 2D football games.
Oh, yeah. What was that? That came out last year, I think.
I think it's called Retro Bowl. Retro Bowl.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I still do play. I go back and play Tecmo Bowl or Super Tecmo Bowl. Man, talk about nostalgia. Like I could still now I can hear the song in my head, and the horrible announcer, because it was like
Did you audition for that part?
Yeah, that was actually my voice. You know.
Oh, nice. Do you get paid for it?
Yeah, I don't get residuals. I'm going on strike. No, that's might cut that. No, we're fine. However, I do think like 2D retro holds up better than well, maybe not holds up, but it is in a better light than the current 2D landscape.
Why do you think that?
I'm just trying to think what were some of the highly regarded 2D games that we have now. Metroid Dread, that was nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah, but I mean, we've already said a few, like Shovel Knight, Celeste, Hollow Knight. I would say, would you consider Hades 2D?
I could see that. I don't know what those top-down type games are considered.
Yeah.
But like Link to the Past was 2D, and that was a top-down game. So yeah, but they're all indie games, right? Besides Metroid.
But what's wrong with that?
They're just, I don't know, they're not, I think companies don't see them as profitable. Even Metroid Dread, which is the highest selling Metroid game, only sold like 3 million copies. And
yeah,
when you're putting that up against Tears of the Kingdom that sold 30 million copies, and even if you can compare Zelda games, you have Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild selling 30 million copies, Link's Awakening. I think that only sold 2 or 3 million copies. Which I guess you could consider that 2D.
Is it 3D? Because it's more of that chibi look.
Yeah, it's I don't know, 2.5D.
Yeah, right.
But then you have Mario, which is an exception because it's going to sell probably 15, 20 million copies.
Because of the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really sad what you're saying, and not just I'm I'm not saying what you're saying is sad. It's just hearing what the discourse could be around 2D games, because like I think we actually have a lot of good 2D games and developers that deserve attention because of probably what has influenced them through past games, and you can definitely see inspirations for where they got some of their ideas, and they've made, in my opinion, I think they've made the 2D experience better. There's definitely with Celeste that are fine tuned, I would say, with they probably were going off of like Super Mario Brothers 3 kind of gameplay, because they even have like an Easter egg in that. And then it's quicker, right? It's a advanced platformer. So if you're used to those kind of games, then you might really enjoy something like Celeste. But if you didn't grow up playing 2D player games, or not 2D games, it may not like come across your radar.
Yeah, so I forget if it was on my video or I saw it on a comment somewhere where somebody said, I'm sick of 2D platformers, or I'm sick of 2D games. And so the thing about like 2D games, they all kind of look the same. Like the gameplay seems the same, right? You're on a 2D plane and you're just going left to right, right to left, or whatever, and fighting enemies. And then platformers, they all look like platformers. I know that's not the case. But in the eyes of people that probably didn't grow up on 2D games, they're in the 3D era, they don't want to play that. They want to play like a Spider-Man game that is different than like GTA or something, even though they're pretty similar, right? They're both sandbox open world games, but people see them as different, and I don't know why.
Yeah, maybe it's the mindset that one I don't know how to say it, because like obviously I will play anything that I'm interested in, and give it a chance to, but maybe to them it's like this game is shovelware. Yeah. Sounds awful to say, but you have something like Spider-Man that's a big budget game that's being made, and it's behind Marvel, and it's a PlayStation exclusive. Maybe that just means more to people. Like I think it's sad when we get into that kind of territory, because that's where gaming has kind of led us, is just expecting these big 3D cinematic masterpieces, and then people are kind of disappointed with them. And like they just announced Fable, and that game's not coming out next year, or did they even give a date? I don't think they gave a date.
I don't know. Yeah.
So
I think I don't know. I think we're Nintendo fans too, right? So we're in this, like, I don't know about era, but we've been Nintendo fans our whole lives. They make their games. They've made 2D games throughout. Like Mario's been 2D for forever.
Yeah, Mario, Zelda, Metroid. Kid Icarus. I don't know, F-Zero. Like all of their IPs were Star Fox. They were 2D games.
Yeah, well, I don't know about Star Fox. That was like on the super graphics card or whatever the heck.
Yeah. I think it's... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works. But continue with what you were saying. Because I think
Yoshi, Kirby, like they've always had aspects of 2D games. And I'm thinking of their top selling games. They're on the Switch. There's no 2D games. Well, except for I think New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe is actually on there.
Yes. Yeah.
But 1 out of 10
is
a 2D game.
Yeah.
they just I don't think they just don't appeal to the masses. Like even these indie games, like Hollow Knight is very well regarded, and I think it sold like 3 million copies, which is like phenomenal for an indie company.
Yeah.
But like Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, they're looking for games that sell 20 plus million, not 3 million.
Hollow Knight is interesting because even when I think about it, the younger generation really loves it. And I think it's because it's a little dark and edgy.
You know what other game the younger generation loves? Undertale.
Yeah.
And that's on a 2D plane. Very simplistic looking.
Uh-huh.
But if Nintendo would come out and try to sell a game like that for $60, like there would be so much backlash. I think Undertale is $15.
Yeah.
So people just don't see the value in 2D games compared to 3D.
I go to this a lot, but even with and I'm a big fan of it too, but the younger generation loves lore. And any kind of lore they can get their hands on.
Well, Metroid has a ton of lore. Nobody buys that game.
Well, because they just don't know. People need to inform them. Yeah, you make a good point. But with like Hollow Knight and Undertale, I mean, those games blew up because there's a little more to the stories that you didn't know before, and like it's a fan base because like they care about the characters and what is happening in that game. And that's where maybe the other 2D games in the past, they didn't have a story, or maybe they did, but it wasn't like very clear. Like the developers knew what they were doing with the game, or what they were not what they were wanting to say, but like Super Mario Brothers 3 is a play, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know how many people actually got that.
It's pretty obvious. It's pretty in your face.
But that's like what helps them develop the game, to have just some kind of idea to go off of. So if there's a 2D game today that has like story behind it, yeah, maybe people will pick it up. I don't know. But you brought up Metroid Dread, and that sucks because people should be playing Metroid.
I don't know how many times I got to tell you people to buy Metroid, buy Metroid Dread and Prime.
Yeah. And Prime 2, and Prime 3, and Prime
4 in 2037 when it actually comes out.
It'll be worth it.
So Nintendo has Metroid Prime and, the Dread series or whatever you want to call it, the regular Metroid.
Yeah.
You have 3D and 2D running at similar times. And then Mario, you have 2D and 3D running at the same time.
Yeah.
Sony and Xbox don't do that. There's no like 2D God of War and 3D God of War.
I think it's not a 2D game, but it's a platformer, Little Big Planet.
I guess that was kind of it initially was a 2D game, but where is it?
Well, how many they have? It's like on their third or fourth iteration, right?
They did release one with the launch of the PS5 or around the launch, but it wasn't 2D anymore. Mm-hmm. It was more like a 2.5D, like Super Mario 3D World. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, even like Ratchet and Clank would be a good 2D if they put that in 2D. But that
would be interesting. You think that would work?
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank?
Yeah, it would just be like a shooter. It would kind of be like Metroid.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I see it.
And then they could have grind rail sections. Like there's a lot of stuff that they could do.
Yeah.
With it. But it's also interesting. Some games are going back to 2D, like Sonic.
Yeah.
We're getting Sonic Superstars, I think it's called.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I know Sonic Mania was very well received. Mm-hmm. The 3D Sonics don't do that well. I think Frontiers actually sold pretty well, but they're not. I don't know. Sonic isn't great in 3D. Sonic just isn't great. Period.
Well, that's because you're a Nintendo fanboy, right?
Yeah, exactly. But still.
Yeah, you gotta support the mustache.
Yeah. But like, so Donkey Kong 2.
Yeah.
Oh, that was what the video was about. It was about I think I said I wanted another Donkey Kong game, and somebody said I'm sick of 2D platformers. And it's like, man, Tropical Freeze was one of the greatest 2D platformers ever made.
Yeah, it's so good. Now, but is that game too hard?
Probably, but I love it. That's why it's great.
Right.
But they made it so it is hard, and then they gave you the option to make it easier. That's how it should work.
Yeah. Agreed.
Not like what they did with Pikmin, where they dumbed it down.
And there is no way to change the difficulty, right, for Pikmin 4? Nope.
And nothing changes, like, once you beat it, you don't get a new game plus or anything like that. Mm. And same with Tears of the Kingdom. Or, because we don't have Master Mode yet.
Not yet, but we probably will, right?
Yeah. I don't know. But, yeah, Donkey Kong has been 2D besides Donkey Kong 64, right? I think that's the only 3D one.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, you got like Jungle Beat.
That's not 3D though. That's 2D. That was a platformer.
Yeah, okay.
Bring that series back. That was a fun series. Re-release the bongos.
I wish I never got rid of my bongos. And it's one of those too where I'm like, when/why or how did I get rid of my bongos? Because I feel like I still have them somewhere. Like they're just somewhere I haven't looked. Like my parents have it in a crawl space or something. But I think I sold it for the 3DS when it first came out. Like I was like, I need to have enough money for the 3DS.
Because they're overcharging.
Yeah, but hey, I was part of the ambassador program. So
me too, and I bought a used one.
And all of those games are 2D.
Yeah, because they're all GBA, so that doesn't count. You can't go to like when we couldn't have 3D.
Not all of them were GBA.
Yeah, they were. It was GBA and NES, I think.
Okay, NES, yeah.
Yeah, you can't have 3D games on NES.
Right.
But no, if you look at it in today's lens, like Nintendo must not see a benefit of having a new Donkey Kong game or a new 2D Donkey Kong game because it's been 10 years.
Yeah, so you think they're working on a 3D?
I think they just took Donkey Kong out back and said goodnight.
Oh man.
But yeah, I would, if they do release a Donkey Kong game, it'll probably be 3D.
Yeah.
We'll get, I think Super Mario Bros. Wonder is just a holdover until the new system, and we'll get a 3D Mario on the new system.
And it looks like Super Princess Peach is going to be 2D, as far as what we have seen anyway.
I don't know. I think it's going to be more like Paper Mario style. Like, I don't think it's going to be a platformer. I think it's going to be or it might be a puzzle platformer.
Yeah, I don't think that it's going to be a platformer. I don't know. I'm trying to think what it's going to be because we don't even know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's my first experience, and I've talked about it before, so I don't know if it was on here or NPC. Was not Mario 64. My first 3D game was not Mario 64. It wasn't, I don't know, I'm trying to think what, like Ocarina of Time. It was Banjo-Kazooie. And honestly, have no idea how I even knew about Banjo-Kazooie. If it was a gift that I got or how it even came across. But like, I love that game. It's very special to me. I love the music in it, the charm, the writing. Rare was just a developer at the time that was unlike anybody else. And I loved platformers to begin with. So to have it in 3D and be like kind of a collectathon, I really enjoyed that. And our guest for next week is a huge Banjo-Kazooie fan. You might know them on, I was gonna say Twitter, but it's X now. So
X.
if you know a Banjo-Kazooie fan, they might be on the show next week, and you should listen and put in your questions and comments, because we'll read them.
It's a shame what they did to that series.
Yeah.
They
well, I don't know, because like I didn't play Nuts and Bolts. Did you?
Yeah, I did. I actually enjoyed what it was. I just mean it's a shame that they haven't released a Banjo-Kazooie game since then.
Yeah, because Sakurai has done all the work.
Yeah. They should just work with Nintendo.
They should.
And license it out.
I mean, that's a different conversation, but I feel like them acquiring Activision and Blizzard is like, okay, they acquired Rare a long time ago, and they've done Sea of Thieves, which is fun. And
they did Connect Sports.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was them.
They did all the Connect Sports stuff. Yeah. Anyway, 3D. So I remember a big shift in 3D. I kind of wish they would go back. But Pokemon, when that shifted to 3D, people like lost their minds.
Are you talking about like Pokemon Stadium?
Well, more like the main line. So that like Pokemon X and Y. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because we had Black and White was the last 2D one.
Yeah.
And then it shifted to 3D. And I kind of want them, like, I would love to see them go back to a 2D, like, pixelated art style.
Mm-hmm.
Not like what they did with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, because that game's garbage.
It's not that bad.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But I mean, that was a cool shift to see it go to 3D. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, they haven't figured out. I don't think they've updated the models since the DS or 3DS, whenever that came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think everybody has been wanting is that 2D HD.
Yes,
for Pokemon.
Oh yeah, that's another really cool. Like, I don't know if Resurgence or like what they're doing, but Octopath Traveler was a pretty. It's hard to say like big success when it only sold like 2 million copies.
But it has changed how some games have looked.
Yeah, and now even people are saying that they're sick of that. How that looks.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Because, oh man, I am drawing a blank. What was the game that came out? Was it last year or 2 years ago? It was only in Japan, and then they released it on Switch.
Oh, the one that you actually played?
Yeah, I loved
Live
it.
Alive?
And now I can't. Live Alive, yeah.
Yeah.
That was also in that 2D HD look, and it was amazing.
So was Triangle Strategy?
Uh-huh.
Octopath. I think there's a Dragon Quest coming out in that art style. Yeah. There was something else that they showed too.
They just showed
Star Citizen or Star something.
Something like that. But Sea of Stars is also looking.
Oh yeah, that's like another indie title that will be good. But yeah, the 2D is pretty much relegated to indie titles, and I think it kind of hurts the industry a little bit.
Which industry?
Just because people see indie titles as like the lesser, even though they're not.
Yeah, for sure.
But then when like Prince of Persia,
Ori is just beautiful.
Yeah.
And
that's a 2D game.
It's a masterpiece. That was a Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, but it wasn't made by them. It was made by
no, but it was first on Microsoft or Xbox. And so like you got to give them some credit there, even though it wasn't exclusive from who is it? It's like Moon Studios, right?
Yeah, Moon Studios, because it's on Switch now.
Right.
No, and they are great games, right? I do think 2D games are great, but the general public perceives them as a lesser value. As like GTA 6 is rumored to be a $2 billion budget.
Mm-hmm. And it's probably just an online game.
Right? Yeah. But like if you see a game that was made with $2 billion, you might be inclined to put your money there as opposed to some small indie game.
This is the problem that I have is like people are always wanting more and more and more, and then they get it and then they're exhausted by it, or it doesn't deliver. It's like I think it's so hard to please people today and what it is that they want, because the game is either too short or it's too long. So what is the happy medium there? Or like the graphics that you were promised look really bad, but then you have this great 2D game that if you just gave a chance, you might find it more enjoyable than what. Yeah,
but it could have been on the Super Nintendo.
Could have been, but who cares? Who cares? I'm very curious to hear what our listeners think, because I'm guessing most of them don't have a problem with 2D. But if you do, please be honest and let us know why. Like I want to know if 2D is still here, if it is just for indie developers, or are big like developers also making 2D, or should they make 2D games?
Yeah, I can't think of a big publisher besides Nintendo that has 2D and the Ubisoft Prince of Persia game, which people are hating on that already. So point proven.
I guess so.
Like they would rather have a 3D open world Prince of Persia game as opposed to a 2D one.
Yeah.
It's
disappointing.
I mean, I can see the argument that, you only have a limited amount of resource, a limited amount of money, and you want to put it towards what you think you could get the most value out of. Mm-hmm. Even like Pikmin 4, I think is a great game, but it's 15 hours. Like, why would you spend $60 on Pikmin 4?
Look,
when you could buy Tears of the Kingdom, which has hundreds of hours.
This was in our group chat, so I don't know if you still feel the same way.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
Well, John Ebo said that Pikmin 4 is his game of the year, better than Tears of the Kingdom.
If Tears of the Kingdom wasn't released this year, it probably would be.
Your game of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun game. It definitely is fun.
Yeah,
I beat it over the weekend, but I also understand why people don't want to pick it up.
But okay, think about this. Hold on, because like I just am having a hard time again figuring out what it is that you like, which maybe that's impossible. I don't know if anyone can figure that out. But you beat Pikmin 4.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a lot of time. Like it was fun for you to keep playing, but it was only 16 hours is what you're saying, and that's short. But if you have a game that is like 60 hours long, I know you're not going to beat it.
I beat Tears of the Kingdom.
That's an exception to the rule.
I beat Elden Ring.
And then what
Bloodborne.
else?
It has to be a game that I like. It has to have good gameplay and zero cutscenes, because story is dumb.
Did you beat Cuphead?
Yes. Wait, no, I beat the DLC. I didn't beat the main game.
Oh, so you skipped to the DLC and then just kept playing that?
Yeah, you don't have to. I think you don't have to do all of the main game to do the DLC.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was unlocked after you beat it, but if I remember correctly, the DLC was all just like bosses. There weren't any running guns.
Yeah, there weren't any running guns.
I preferred it that way, honestly. Like,
yeah,
I
the
know
running
we're
guns
talking
weren't.
about platformers, but I think that's what makes Cuphead a little unique. It's
Yeah,
kind of
I
just
don't think
having a boss rush.
Yeah, the running guns weren't my favorite part of
Mm-hmm.
that game. That
Mm-hmm.
art style is fantastic, and I think a lot of people do like that game because
Yeah.
of the art style and also the difficulty. It kind of just allows for people to make like content and reactions around.
Uh-huh.
So Cuphead's another one, but who knows? Like, that might not even sold that well comparatively to these bigger titles.
Yeah. I think it will be, and I don't know if they'll have this information. Maybe I can get it from them ahead of time. But our guest for next week, should I just say who it is,
Yeah,
or should we leave it? It's Riley Little. If you're familiar, Riley Little will be on Communication Error, the community patch notes. I'm about to. Sorry,
Bless you.
I usually mute when I'm
You
gonna
did mute it.
sneeze.
You got it.
Okay.
I didn't hear it.
All right. Well, I did not mute, so it probably came through. Anyway, Riley Little, who is the social media manager for Walmart Canada Gaming, will be on the show. And so maybe they can tell us how much they sell of 2D or 3D games if there's because I mean, like we've been saying, a lot of 2D games are indie
what 2D
developed.
games have been on sale? Like
I
physically.
I know. Yeah.
Kirby?
I don't
Maybe.
Kirby is a good one. There's got to be more.
There's not.
I guess so.
Because nobody cares about 2D games.
Makes me sad.
I mean, people have like people. They're
That's
great
where
games.
it started, man. That's where it
Yeah,
started.
and whatever. If you don't embrace change, like you're gonna be stuck in the past. So, I don't know. I understand why people want it. Like, I do understand why people want to play 2D games or games that they perceive as like lesser value.
Mm.
When I was a kid, I didn't have money to buy games. So like when I would have to tell my parents like what games I would want, and they're like, I wouldn't be like, if it was me today, if I was a kid today, I wouldn't be like, oh, I want Metroid Dread over Tears of the Kingdom. All right, because you only get like one or the other usually.
Yeah. So like what you're saying eventually is that 2D gaming is just gone.
Well, no, I think it will have its niche, but I don't think it will
show,
ever,
man. Niche is for a different show.
I don't think it will ever be. I don't think 2D will ever be as popular as it was back in the day. Like there won't be a 2D game that just blows all our minds because
Super Mario Brothers Wonder might
but
do
it's
that.
still gonna be a Mario game. Like
Yeah.
you can only do so much. You can only do so much. Like it's gonna be a fantastic game, but it's still a 2D platformer. There's only so much you can do.
Do you think that Mario does well because it is multiple players?
No, I think it's because it's nostalgia and it's Mario.
So
I'd never play. Nobody wants to play multiplayer in Mario.
Yeah, of course
that
you
is
do.
not fun.
Yeah, it is.
Man. No,
Couch
people buy
co-op?
it. People buy it because it's nostalgic and Mario.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. So what you're saying is if Mario wasn't as good, like the first time around, people would not care. Like maybe it did okay. It wasn't like
people bought 15 million copies of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and that game is arguably bad.
But multiplayer, couch co-op, playing with family.
People don't do that. Couch co-op is dead.
Oh man, I think that's probably a different conversation. That makes me mad. The multiplayer in Pikmin 4,
exactly. Because
Why?
couch co-op's dead.
No, it should be fun. Like it's not dead. Look at It Takes Two.
But can't you play that online? No?
you can play that online.
Yeah, that's not couch co-op then.
Yeah, but I mean, you can play it with a friend or a partner or sibling if you are in the same household. Like,
maybe we'll do a couch co-op is dead episode.
Yeah, I feel like that probably needs to happen.
Because, I mean, think of all the other multiplayer games. Call of Duty, not couch co-op. They used to have couch co-op. It used to be fantastic. No more. Splatoon doesn't have couch co-op.
Yeah.
Fortnite.
It used to. I mean, not like in the sense of like the way you want it, but it did have, and maybe it still does. I just haven't played it. Is the balloon battle where you shoot the balloons? You could do that.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Halo used to be a huge couch co-op one. No longer has couch co-op. Doesn't have split screen.
I actually like that because I didn't have Halo, but anytime I went over to a friend's house, they had it, and I got to play with them. I didn't know what I was doing, but I loved that I got to play the campaign with them.
It's dead. RIP. It's all online battle royales now.
I don't like it. I mean, I totally agree with what you said earlier about just accepting change, because that's just how we move forward and not to be stuck in the past. I get that. Change is very hard for me. Change, just to be completely honest with you, my wife Hannah, she has to tell me if she feels like rearranging furniture or something. She has to let me know ahead of time, and it's not because like, I don't know, it's not like a dominant thing. It's just that it's I need to know that things are being moved around, and I just have to accept it. So if she gives me time to just like, hey, this weekend I'm thinking about moving things around, like that is fine. Like I'm going to adjust to it, and it's not a big deal. But if it happens in the moment, like if I come home from work or whatever, and then I see things are rearranged without me even knowing, that is something that is really hard for me to just adjust to. So I guess if I know that we are headed in that direction, so like we've talked about physical versus digital, I know we're going more digital and it's happening, and I am adjusting to it. I don't like it, but like eventually that is what's going to happen. If it does happen that we lose 2D games, I guess it's slowly kind of becoming that sucks, but like that's just, you accept the change, and there's something maybe better along the way.
40.
What about 40?
Or 4D. You know, we
4D,
2D, 3D. We're gonna add another dimension.
I thought you were calling me 40. I was like, I just turned 30, man. Come on.
Yeah. I don't know. I like both 2D and 3D, but
yeah,
I just don't see. I don't.
You would prefer to play a 3D game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
like I'm happy that there's a new Mario game coming out, but I would really want a new 3D Mario right now. Because I know Super Mario Bros. Wonder is going to take 5 hours to beat. And then they'll still have post-game stuff, but it's going to take 5 hours to beat.
Yeah, you got to beat it with every character, and you collect all the stamps and stickers, and yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to end it, but we are over an hour. So let us know your thoughts about 2D versus 3D. Which do you prefer? We all know it's going to be 3D, so just...
Johnny, where can people find you?
I'm Johnny Bo everywhere. X, Twitch, TikTok, YouTube. I don't want to say Threads because, like, who cares? Instagram.
You can find me on X, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, YouTube, the Discord, and Nintendo Powercast. GZC64, THEEZYC 64. And leave your comments, and we'll read them on next week's community patch notes with Riley Little.